read.
I don't think this is the first time you're hearing that reading can improve your English. And especially on my channel, I always talk about books and how reading has helped me to improve my spoken English. And I don't know what day today is. I guess it's day 23. And today we are talking about how to talk about reading in English. The point of this series of video is that you get input and you get a lot of format for output. And we have been following a very simple structure in this series of videos. So let's discuss this in my room. So here we are. And before I start the video, if anyone who is looking for online English classes, they can send me a message on my number or my email ID. I've got the format here. I've got the question. So let's start the video with a very simple question. Do you usually enjoy reading books? Of course, most of the time, especially when I'm reading a fictional book or a fantasy series, I'm just so much into the world that I forget about everything else. It relaxes me, it inspires me to create this kind of videos, and most importantly, it helps me improve my spoken English. So yeah, I enjoy reading books. Here is the format. Yes, I love, like, or enjoy reading books because they relax me, inspire me, or keep me busy. Most of the time, I prefer fiction, non-fiction, or self-help books. But sometimes I switch to history, biographies, or short stories when I want variety. Next, what kind of books do you prefer? I prefer fiction most of the time because it keeps me hooked, it gives me new ideas, and the main purpose why I like to read books is for entertainment. And if you are reading a fictional book, you can read it anywhere you want to. So yeah, majority of the time I'm reading a fictional book. Here is the format. I usually choose thrillers, novels, or motivational books since they keep me hooked, teach me lessons, or spark my imaginations. Sometimes I read romance, classics, or fantasy just for a change of mood. Next, how would you describe a book you liked? I would say if a book is able to keep me hooked and if I'm not able to put it down, that's when I start enjoying reading that. So recently I was reading this series called a Stormlight Archive, which I have talked about on my channel also. Even though that was a very long series, I was just so much into the world that I wasn't able to put that down. It was inspiring, it was full of imagination, a kind of a story which I had never read before. So it was new. So in simple words, that story was unique, thought-provoking, and most importantly, it was full of characters that really inspired me. Here is the format. I would say it was engaging, powerful, or inspiring because the story, characters, or ideas made me feel motivated, emotional, or thoughtful. I often recommend it to friends, classmates, or colleagues if I think they will enjoy it too. Last question of this format. Why do you think books are important? Books are important for various reasons. It helps us in learning, entertainment, improving our thoughts, writing, speaking, and the list goes on forever. And people read books for different reasons. And in our country, I would say around 80 to 90% people read books to pass exams. But a lot of things have changed. Thanks to the internet, the books became more accessible. So people like me who are living in villages, they have access to reading for entertainment, reading for the sake of entertainment. Books have helped me a lot throughout my life, learning English, creating this channel, meeting a lot of new people. It was a game changer for me. So here is the format. Books are important because they open your mind, improve your language, or reduce stress. They also help in building knowledge, shaping ideas, or strengthening imagination, which is why I keep a habit of reading at least daily, weekly, or monthly. So this was our small format how we can talk about reading. Now let's move on to the next segment, that is modern phrases. I'll read it for you. I'll provide a photo and a sentence and your job is to repeat after me or you can write a few examples in the comments. The first one is judge a book by its cover. You must have heard this term, don't judge a book by its cover. But covers are there to be judged, right? In my case, a lot of times I pick up a book just because the cover looks amazing and those kind of books always work for me. Next, a real page turner. It simply means when you are not able to stop reading. The language is easy and you are so much interested into the story that you don't put down the book. Food for thought. It means that you are feeding your mind. So, books are food for our thoughts. Next, couldn't put it down. It is like page turner. It literally means you are not able to stop reading. Next, lost in a book. When a book is so entertaining that you forget about everything. A bookworm. A bookworm is somebody who is always reading a book, who is always talking about book. there you can use the term a book verb. An easy read. It means that the book was not challenging language wise. You didn't have to think much. Books like Harry Potter where you don't have to think much, just an easy read. Next, a classic for all times. Classic books are something which were written a long time ago, but those books are still relevant. So that kind of book is called a classic for all times. Next, a hidden gem. Hidden gem simply means something which is not quite popular. So let's say you discover something new or something which is underrated, you can say a hidden gem. Next, read between the lines. It simply means even though some things are not clearly written, you understand that meaning. For example, symbolic, poetic, or metaphorical meanings. So these were some modern phrases. Let's move on to the next segment of vocabulary. And every word here is related to reading. And the words are novel, fiction, non-fiction, author, plot, storyline, climax, genre, chapter, edition, publishing, review, summary, bestseller, recommendation, imagination, character, theme, inspiration, narrative, and collection. And the last segment of vocabulary is adjectives. And we know that if we have good adjectives, we can talk about anything in the world. And all of these adjectives are related to reading. The words are interesting, exciting, inspiring, educational, emotional, dramatic, thoughtful, creative, humorous, powerful, classic, modern, imaginative, realistic, meaningful, engaging, gripping, entertaining, boring, repetitive. Now we are at the most important segment of our video, that is conversational questions. Here I ask questions to myself and I answer them myself. Your job is to repeat after me or you can simply make your own answer. The first question is, what was the last book you read and how did you feel about it? The last book I read was a science fiction novel, Three Body Problem. And it was another unique book. It was full of new ideas, philosophical thoughts, and a very new concept of science fiction. Next, how often do you read books in English? Most of the time, I prefer reading in English because my goal is to improve my English and to create content on the internet. So I want to become a really articulate person. So 95% of the time, I'm reading books in English. But yeah, I'm trying to add Hindi in my reading list also. But it's been forever since I have read a Hindi book. And hopefully, I'll start reading one very soon. Next, how does reading books in English help you improve? It helps me a lot. I mean, just think about it. When you are reading a book, the monologue is in your head. Whatever you are reading, you are imagining characters. It helps you with coming up with ideas naturally. You are not translating in your head. And the biggest change I have noticed in my spoken English is that I don't have to translate all the time. 95% of the time, all the thoughts are coming in my head completely in English. So that has helped. My vocabulary has improved. I have become articulate. I would say my writing has improved. So it helps me in every sector of learning this language. Next, do you enjoy fiction more than non-fiction? Why? I enjoy reading fiction more than non-fiction because you don't have to pay attention all the time. I mean, you can relax, you can read that book whenever you want to. So that's the reason. And I like to read stories which are imaginative. And non-fictions are great. They are truly great. They will teach you a lot. But when you are reading a fictional book, you are able to relate with a lot of characters. And those imaginative characters inspire you a lot. And we have to read non-fiction if you want to improve in other sectors of our life. Next, which book has influenced your life the most? I would say reading a Stormlight Archive. I won't say the full series, but a few of the characters really inspired me, especially this character called Kaladin. And if I talk about a single book, I would say The Prophet by Khalil Gibran. And that book is so beautifully written with full of life lessons. Whenever I feel lost, I pick up a couple of chapters from that and I read that and it always inspires me. Next, do you prefer reading papered books or ebooks? Obviously, I prefer physical media. I like to have books in my hand. But yeah, we are living in digital era, so there is nothing wrong reading on your screen because this is the most accessible thing, our phones, our laptops. Sometimes when I'm not able to carry my books, I read on my screen or I listen to audiobooks. But yeah, my preference is always a physical book. Next, who is your favorite author and why? I've got so many, but if I have to choose somebody whom I have read recently, I would say Brandon Sanderson, mostly because how entertaining his books are and how quickly you are able to read them. So yeah, right now I'm enjoying reading Brandon Sanderson and there are other authors. I'll mention some of their names. You can check them out if you are interested. Next, What kind of books do you pick when you want to relax? See, I like to relax all the time, so I'm always reading fictional books. But yeah, if I don't really want to pay a lot of attention, I try to read comic books or manga, that is Japanese comics, and where you have a photo, dialogues, and you are able to read and relax at the same time. Next, have you ever finished a book in one day? Yes, I recently did a challenge where I read The Old Man and the Sea by Ernest Hemingway, which I finished under 4 hours. And I also recorded a video here. I was doing a challenge where I had to finish that book in a single sitting. So, of course, I have finished a book in a single day. Last question. Do you read more for learning or for entertainment? For the past couple of years, I have been reading mostly for entertainment, but now I want to change things. I just don't want to keep on entertaining myself. I do want to change some things and want to add a lot of varieties in my reading list: philosophy, non-fiction, biographies, so that I can learn and I can improve. So these were some 10 questions. I'm going to leave the rest of the 10 questions here. And you know the drills. Your job is to make your own answer. And if you are still not able to answer them, just write down in the comments. I'll provide an answer for you. And before I wrap up this video, if you want to learn English online, again, you can send me a message on my number and we can start learning together. If you have watched this far, thank you so much for watching. Please leave a comment and subscribe if you are enjoying this kind of videos. So I'll see you very soon. See you.